Hey guys, Zom Fox here, and today it's time for my Week 9 game picks for the 2025 UFL season. We're just 2 weeks away from the regular season being over, which is wild to say, but it is true. And so it is time to look at Week 9, my game picks for this week. Now, the playoffs are set in regard to the 4 teams who are making it, but the 1 seed race is still technically alive, even though it doesn't really matter for home field advantage. Still has other benefits. First 2 games of the week are the Battlehawks Brahmas on Friday Night Football and the Renegades Showboats. The Brahmas, this would be a Brahmas home game, and it technically is, but it is in St. Louis. This is the game they lost due to the scheduling conflicts and all that. So, big L for the Brahmas here. Now, as for the Battlehawks, right, this again is a game that really only matters to them trying to get the 1 seed officially. As, again, it's not necessarily a guarantee they're going to finish as the 1 seed, meaning they're not guaranteed to be able to choose whether or not they want the ball first or they want to defer it. So this is when they need, because if they lose this game, DC can clinch the 1 seed. So it still has some value for the Battlehawks, and of course this is being played in St. Louis. Now I am going to be doing a live play-by-play for this game tonight at 7:45 when I'll start streaming, so be on the lookout for that. Overall though, I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's 6.5 point spread, 42.5 over-under. I think St. Louis wins this pretty handily by about 9 points. 26-17. It just comes down to the fact that they're just a better team, right? The Brahmas are just literally throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks. They're starting Kellen Mond in this game, and they got Kevin Hogan as like QB3. They signed a new QB. They're just trying to find something for next year, right? I know Wade Phillips posted something on Twitter that suggests he's going to be back next year, which I know some people would say is debatable if that's actually a great thing for the league. Wade, again, he's getting really up there in age. Health concerns are always something to be very, cautious about. But that's a topic for another day. The point is this season is over for the Brahmas. They can clinch the number 1 overall pick for whatever that's worth. I know the UFL draft obviously isn't like the NFL draft. You're not guaranteed to get the guys you picked. They're just not a good team compared to St. Louis, right? It's what it comes down to. There is a talent discrepancy. There is a discrepancy in which team is better, and that is the Battlehawks. Now, this could be a very fun running back battle. Jashawn Corbin and Jacob Sailors were the 2 best running backs last week. I said in my Player of the Week video that Corbin got robbed for Offensive Player of the Week by Sailors, and this is coming from a guy who is a big Sailors fan. So this could be a very fun matchup in that regard, but overall, it's just the Battlehawks are a better team. They should win this one relatively easily. I wouldn't even be shocked if this is an even more lopsided score. Now, Renegades, Memphis. Not really anything to play for either team. Now, the Showboats technically are still alive in the number 1 pick race. Again, depends on how much you really value that. Because even with the Brahmas, I believe they use the same NFL thing, which is strength of schedule versus overall head-to-head record, right? As the NFL head-to-head record really doesn't matter when it comes to tiebreaker stuff in the draft. But when it comes to the Renegades Showboats, this game really doesn't matter at all for either team. It's about finding out stuff for next year. Again, like we expected, the Showboats have announced that E.J. Perry is starting this game and will probably play the full game. Again, they basically said that each quarterback's going to play 1 full game, so this is E.J. Perry's turn. Renegades, that last week was really rough. Now, it's a 4.5 point spread. The Renegades are favorites by 4.5, and the over-under is 40.5. I'm kind of shocked at how low the over-under is, honestly, compared to considering how these 2 teams have played. But, man, it's rough. But I'm going to go with the Renegades winning 24-22. Yes, I know that this is a game that the Renegades probably will choke, but I think this ends up being the same score as the Brahmas Showboats game, but Arlington wins. Why? I just can't look past the fact that they've been playing great teams so competitively. Yes, they're blowing the games at the end, and I wouldn't be shocked if they blow it to Memphis. It's just, once you eliminate the Stallions game, right, Memphis has done very similar things. They've choked away a lot of close games against good teams, but they're usually lesser of a close game, right? They're usually more so like a touchdown away or a missed 2-point conversion instead of Arlington having the lead and then choking it away. Arlington's just a better team, right? Their defense, even though Memphis' defense is really solid, Arlington's is a better unit. Offense for offense, yes, there's certain skill guys, but as an overall team, the receiving core of the Renegades is better as an overall unit than Memphis. Yes, Memphis has specific guys, but as we've mentioned for a few weeks now, Jay Adams hasn't been the same as he was the first 3 weeks of the season. There's been glimpses, but that's it. David Davis still isn't like fully 100% back, at least doesn't look like it. I just think Arlington gets a W. I think they're a better team. I think they finally get a win when it's, again, too little, too late. If they lose this one, that's rough. If they lose this game, that's really bad for Arlington, and it will be hilarious. The UFL Twitter space would just go wild and just flame the Renegades. Deservedly so. Now, as for the second pair of games, we have the first one being the Stallions versus the Panthers. Now, this one is in Birmingham. This is the other game I will be streaming at 2:45 on Saturday. I will start that stream EST. Now, the spread, I'm honestly shocked at. It's -3 Birmingham. Now, Bryce Perkins is not playing in this game. It's going to be Danny Etling once again. The Stallions are starting Jamar Smith. At this point, you've kind of got to believe that the plan is for him to be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season. I just kind of got that feeling. It'd be really awkward for them to just suddenly put in another quarterback that got healthy when, let's be honest, it's not like Magoo or Corral looked incredible when they were healthy, right? Magoo obviously looked horrific, but that was his first game at quarterback in a while. As for Corral, he had flashes, but basically what he's done, Jamar's been doing the same thing of. Now, Panthers. Breeland Speaks is back. He's on the active roster. He should be playing in this game, so that's a big benefit for the Panthers defense. Now, 44.5 over-under. Not too shocked it's a higher one, but I think this ends up being a 40-point game. I think it's 24-16 Birmingham wins. Look, Michigan, yes, they're playing for the 1 seed. If they win this game, they clinch the 1 seed. First time ever Birmingham doesn't win their conference/division. Look, I honestly don't think that if the Panthers are going to break their curse against the Stallions, I think it's going to be in the playoffs. It's not going to be in this Week 10 game. Birmingham, they want to win at home, get that home crowd back, and start getting more people in those seats to help them out in the playoff game against Michigan. If you're Michigan, you're going to kind of hide a lot of stuff from Birmingham because of the fact that, again, you're not even playing Perkins, and you're going to play him in the playoff game, barring that his injury is like way worse than we think. It's just, I've got that feeling that Birmingham's just going to win this game. This is going to be a game that has a ton of hype behind it, but ends up being like the third best game of the week. Now, DC Houston. This is a very interesting game. DC matches up really poorly to this Houston team, which I know some might say is shocking, but when you actually think about it, you kind of realize how true it is. DC's biggest weakness, their pass defense. Defense as a whole, really, but their pass defense especially. We've seen Arlington dice him up multiple times. We've seen Kevin Hogan dice him up. Jalen McClendon, he could dice this defense up. Yes, he hasn't been perfect. He had that bad pick six, but again, he's still been one of the better quarterbacks in the league this year. This is a matchup he could have a really good game at. Again, the defense for DC has been just steadily going down and down and down in quality. They have guys who make big plays, but overall, it's been a weak unit. This Houston team matches up really well against that. They're healthy enough they can do some damage. And what is the biggest strength of Houston? Their pass defense, mainly their back end. When it's healthy, it has been one of the best units in the league. What is DC's entire offense? Throw it deep. If your DBs do their job, you can essentially eliminate DC's entire offense because their ground game is weak. So we all know it's insanely weak, right? And their pass attack is just deep shots. If you force them to play something else and they beat you, hey, you got beat by a team that was able to do something else. But in theory, Houston's offense should be able to do what it's always done and will do it effectively, whereas DC will not be able to do what they've done effectively all season. It's a 3.5-point spread. I think the dog gets the W. I have the Houston Roughnecks winning 28-24. High-scoring game that they get the win on. Like I said, this is just a bad matchup for DC. And DC, man, they've been escaping some of these games that they really should be losing in a lot of ways because of how they play, and they're just kind of escaping with W's. It's a lot like the San Antonio game. Now, it's not to that same degree. Even though this matchup is better than the San Antonio loss, the San Antonio loss was like, I really knew they were going to blow that game. I had that feeling. This one, I'm close to that, but not as convicted. But I still think Houston wins. It's just, from a football standpoint, it's just a really bad matchup for DC at this point in time. It's a team that has a consistent quarterback going against a very poor pass defense. It's a QB that throws deep, versus a team that has a great back end on defense. Both those matchups benefit Houston. And so I think Houston gets the W. Now, as for overall betting picks on the week, as obviously I do not bet, but these are comparing my game picks to the betting odds and all that like we do. This past week, while the overall spread over under moneyline was barely positive, this is honestly a really good week. I got 2 scores perfect this week. Both Memphis and Houston, I correctly predicted the score they would put up this week, or this past week, I should say. And the Birmingham St. Louis game, I went 3 for 3 on in game picks. Now, I did get the first push of the season on the spread, second overall. That was in the Arlington, D.C. game. Overall, I think I went like 7 of 11 or something like that. In picks, it was like 6 of 11 plus the push. So I went positive by itself. The only game I really didn't do great on was the Michigan-Houston game because I thought Houston would keep it closer. But as your overall moneyline record, which is obviously head-to-head, again, it's a weak number, especially considering how it's usually supposed to be a lot better. But as we talked about before, many people, it's been a lot worse than usual. Spread and over-under, both fully positive at this point. We can keep that going. That'd be great. We got the spread overall positive, which is what you love to see. And again, perfect team score predictions. I've officially now had more perfect team score predictions this season than I did last year. Last year I had 4. This year I had 5. Now, perfect games where I go 3 for 3. If I get one more, I'll be tied and match last year's 7. So we'll see if I can get that. Again, we still got 2 regular weeks, and then we got 2 playoff weeks. So this has been Zob Fox. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the bell. Be notified as soon as I upload any videos. Again, we still got a lot of videos. This week, man, there was a ton of them. 10 total videos are coming out, as I got the Arlington video coming out later today. So 10 total videos, the weekly short. That was on Spring Into Football. You can go to the community post to check that out. And as always, guys, have a great night.